All right, this may surprise some of my viewers that my tuck pointing tools are not in a 5-gallon bucket. A few are, but this is how I store them, in here. And here's all my tuck pointing tools. This is a joint raker. This is not for tuck pointing. So these are the tool of a tuck pointer. They're made out of cast iron. I don't know why that one is thin, but it's not flexible, and made by another guy. Usually people make these, not so much machines. I have another one in here, yeah, this big one. So, and there are also different contours. There's ones that are convex or concave, the opposite of this, so you can put a bead. There's flat ones. Oh yeah, so here's I don't know if this is convex or concave, but this is one that you can put a bead on. These are my hawks, right? When you assemble it, it looks like that. Tuck pointer's hawk. Here's another little bitty convex or concave one. And these are tuck pointing rakes. This is how you get the mortar out. What's this? Yet another one of those. Oh, some people tuck point with these. It's called a pointer's trowel. And they'll, after they lay the brick up, they'll come and wipe and rub this in there so that there is a ledge on the underside of the brick. So you have a brick and then you put this in here and it makes a little ledge, sort of a shadow line. Here's some lead and this is my favorite one because you can rake it in there and also pop it out. Now, not with me, I have a thing called a berry hammer, which is a little jackhammer, like a handheld jackhammer, and that's the way the restorationist people want the mortar to be removed on a architecturally historic building. I've never seen it specified here, but back in the East, where I bought it, is a berry hammer. Popular with commercial production people is the use of a high-speed diamond grinder, and the problem with using a high-speed diamond grinder is you inevitably hit the brick. And so, you know, here's a grinder, but it has the small blade. So here's a tuck pointing blade, and it comes in different thicknesses, and it just pulverizes the mortar. And in case you wanted to get something that's old out and make the building look uniform, you would arm a bunch of guys with these, and they just pulverize the brick. While I'm at it, here's an interesting tool. This is chunks of carbide embedded into this wheel, and this you use for removing old caulk, like 1 part polyurethane, like Vulcan. It'll take, I got this from Merlin Stelzer, it'll take caulk right out. Now, I'm kind of against this. It's not like I never ever used one, but I don't like to, well, I guess mostly what I don't like about it is when you put this up against a granule of sand that's in the mortar, it creates a silicone dust, and the silicone dust causes silicosis. It's fine enough to get into your lungs, deep into your lungs, and your body doesn't know how to deal with it. It can't get it out, and it accumulates, and you end up with this medical condition called silicosis. So when you use one of these, you should use a respirator. I am of the persuasion to let the mortar wear out. So if a mortar thickness is a 1/2 inch, you need 150% of that to have the tuck pointing do any good and stay. So if you have a 1/2 inch, you need 3/4 of an inch deep missing in order to tuck point. And I encourage customers to just wait for the weather to wear it out. Then you come along with a rake, and then you get the dusty loose stuff out, and then you use one of these cast iron tuck pointing tools to pack it in. This packs it really hard, and also I'll show this in a video. The way the mortar forms around this leaves a little ridge, and you come along and use a brush and brush that ridge off. Now these are practically useless. They're really flexible. You can't pack mortar in. They come in all kinds of widths. I don't know where I got these, but I imagine, you know, there's a use for something when you need to get in a real tight space or something. But this I don't use as a tuck pointing tool. It doesn't pack it like these do. There's also a version of this that has a flat face, so you know, you can use that that technique that leaves edge. But mostly around these parts you see this rounded edge. So we're gonna take a few of these up there. I'll leave this because it's a redundant size, and this is redundant also. So we'll take these. This is a little smaller than this. So I'll take these and a rake here, so I can like get behind. I'm gonna take a heavy sharp rake here, and I have my hawk, tuck pointer's hawk, margin trowel to mix the mud up. Here's one that I was using earlier. I'll give it a rest. I worked it out a lot. Here's the thing you use to strike mortar when you're laying up a brick. We're not laying up brick. And these things are gauges that you use to set strings once you have your corners up. This is a bricklayer's tool, not a tuck pointer's tool. I love this thing for who knows why. And here's another tuck pointer's tool that you use to strike the joints, and a round nose trowel. These are really good for buckets. I don't have my rubber bucket here, but I love my rubber bucket and a shorter trowel. So we'll pack some of these things here to go up on the roof. We won't need to take this whole box. And don't forget who is that guy? That's not Ernie, that's, I don't know who he is. But it's good to the reef, right? No, it says oxybenzone, right? So it doesn't turn your clothes orange. All right, and I didn't mention earlier, we're packing the grinder to cut the tile, and off we go onto the roof. I can maybe see that, reach over here and get the stuff out. So I need a 1.5 times depth. I'm not going to get 1.5 times, but that's going to be under. Look at this. You have to be really careful with this. These brick are kind of loose, but once I get the tuck pointing in there, they aren't going to be loose anymore. If I get it in there 1.5 times. This is working on these older houses. It's challenging. This is a metal, looks like they use a galvanized plug. Mix, and it does have a bit of lime in it, which makes it sticky, and it has a larger aggregate, not much, but it has a larger aggregate, and it is what I laid up this. It's not really a chimney, it's a parapet because there's no flue in it. I'm going to mix this up to a paste that's a little bit thicker than toothpaste. This is way too soupy, but I'm not going to adjust it. I have more mix on the lift that I will take up with me, and some extra water. Quick. See, and it pulls away, but that's okay. I'm in position I can slide this baby off onto that thing due to the reduction in heat. I don't know, this may just scrape all up to the front. Mr. GoPro runs out of battery juice, and I was really having trouble lifting this left side like it was stuck on something. Well, this silicone actually grabbed it so tight that I couldn't even lift it up a tiny bit. Sealed the ice and water membrane to the brick, so any additional mortar I pull out like this isn't gonna get stuck down in behind there. I kind of butchered this edge. It's not all that clean. I wonder why they call it butcher. Do butchers not work precisely? And so when you butcher something, is that an imprecise thing? I need to check. I figured the pan flashing would be 4 inches down there. So if I put this right here where it goes, where's 4 inches? 4 inches is gonna get me, well, it gets me to the middle down there, but not quite here, but that's still gonna work. So a 4-inch pan flashing, so when it comes out, it turns up, I don't know, about 1 inch, and that directs the water away. There's an open channel here, so leaves and debris can escape. As I work on chipping this mortar out, I'm noticing that this brick is so very soft, like up here, it just takes chunks out of the brick. So I'm going to, let's see this, see these pieces are sticking out. I don't want them to stick out so far. But if I miss hit, it just takes a chunk of the brick out. So I'm going to do as best I can with this stuff protruding, a plan on which kind of joint to use. Look at this. See it black in there? The original mortar, they used carbon black, no doubt. And it also is not a very strong mortar because there's all this carbon impurities in the mortar. To tuck point, one needs a Caulk and some mortar. Now this mortar looks like it's way too juicy, but I'm going to try it because as I put it on the pan, it's gonna, let's use the very biggest. I can turn it around and reach out. Now you can't do this. See this? See where it got on the brick? Now it might stain the brick because this is so wet, and I'm going to thicken it up just a small amount, like this brick is gonna care in its aesthetic. So we'll have a little yeah, that's what I need to do, is put it on the roof down there and then have it rain and have white concrete marks on the brand new tile roof. I stocked my broom, and I'll be sure to get that on the way down. Alright, so we'll mix this up a little bit, make it dry, or I won't mix it all the way to the bottom, because as this stuff sits, it'll get thicker. Now, I didn't mention early, but you want mini small batches. You can't, if you keep tempering and keep tempering, every time you add water, it makes it weaker. So you only want to temper tuck pointing like one time, and it's rather cool today. So it could, one small batch could last as little as 20 or 30 minutes on a 90-degree day. Now let's scrape this off and look under. Not too much got on the brick, but we don't want any if we can. Yeah, this is a little hard to reach. So all that stuff that oozes, just leave it there and it will dry and should knock off pretty cleanly. Now as I come up to this corner here, you can't pull it because it'll keep pulling the corner out, so you have to work it this way. So I need to hold my Caulk over here. See that corner? You can't pull it. You have to push it like that size. See, now it's the right consistency right here. Now this little ledge will just brush off in a few minutes. Now the joints this way have preference, so don't drag this over. If you do, come back over it like that. Now, when you get your rhythm going, you do all the verticals first and then come back and do the horizontals, since you want the horizontals to strike through the verticals. I should start with this big fill first so it kind of sets up a little bit. Stone up against the brick. See how I mushed it against the brick? Because I want to pack it into that part of the joint. See that nice long triangle thing? You can get that in that joint. I mean, that was a little ridiculously big. Now see, if I tuck point this, water gets behind it in a couple years, it'll pop off. So now this part I should do first and then do the horizontals, but it just saves an extra stroke because I'm now gonna have to see how I can pack that in there. So I'm now gonna have to come back and run this again where I wouldn't have. So this is all about minimizing moves and actions and strokes, and that's what makes a person fast. But we're not working here on fast, we're working here on proficiency and putting together a number of things so that you can offer a wide array of services to the customer, and they don't have to go out and hire 3 or 4 different subcontractors or one, you know, big major contractor, and that is going to cost them a lot more. So this is too big a tool for that. Now, for some reason, these are handmade tools, and some of them just have a different balance. This one is more like rounded all the way around rather than round to a flat edge. So it's a little different. See how you have to keep taking it off and taking it off? That's what makes a really good job, is because it's packing and packing it and packing it. Where if you use out of a bag, or you use the springy thing and you just hold it up and do that sort of stuff, if you hold it up and do that sort of stuff, you can only get so far that way. If I take this off, look at how far I can get. I don't have to have the board, and I can do all kinds of up, down. I don't have to have this hawk right in front of me, and it makes less of a mess to do it this way. Then off of a hawk or out of a bag, and it packs it. And that's why these guys, they know what they're doing, hand make these tools, and there's somewhat of a demand for it. You have to you can't get these at Home Depot or Lowe's, or I've never checked Menards, but you have to go, in my case, to Ranieri, a place that supplies professionals in the business of concrete, masonry, and stuff. I wonder why is that not? Yeah, we can break that out some more. See, this end can get behind a line. Once you have it going, you can just pop, 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 pop it out. You have to be careful not to pop the face of the brick off, because you can do that. Now, I couldn't possibly put the hawk up to that. How would you fit a hawk up to that, up to the roof? You're just limited into what you can do. And it doesn't take much to learn this. Yeah, a lot of mortar will fall on the ground when you're trying to figure it out. But just practice taking mortar off the board and getting it mixed to the right consistency. And then everything works. It's not too wet, it's not too dry. This forces you to get a see, now that's not shaped. That's gonna kind of make a mess. That's what we're looking for. Right like that. Right in there. And you'll be doing it like the pros. I mean, like an artisan, perhaps. Professionals, anybody who charges money for what they do. See how I can just put that right where I want it? Oh, now we have some situations here on this front of this wall. Now this is beyond what the customer wants, but I'm going to do this so I can get, you know what, I'm not going to tuck point this right now, because I want to tuck point it up against the apron flashing, and if I do this, then I won't be able to even get the apron flashing in. Now, we would normally wait a little while and then get this brush and brush the boogers off. See, it should still be slick here. Where I put my finger in there, I took the slickness off of it, and X number of years of, so you want to leave it packed and slick. And that will make the job last and last. Not enough. There, now it's packed in. So when I come up here and do this wall flashing and everything, I can attend to this. I'm wiping it when it's way too wet. So that's it on tuck pointing under unideal situations. Oh look, there's that corner. Gotta get that corner. That doesn't look good at all. Why did... Now this is the too big. I need this one. Now, so here's the part you can, where I'm gonna push it in this way and then push it in that way, so I get this corner formed. And this is a pan, and it goes back here, and the sides stand up. I have some wedges in there. I use Top Gun 400. Man, it is in there. It will, this is held against the wall while it dries.